It is, by the time this plays through and gets to you, it will be 3 o'clock. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with homeschooling with multiple students with Moving Beyond the Page. Today we're going to cover, it's kind of an interesting topic because you can cover homeschooling multiple students of the same age or homeschooling multiple students of different ages and how you can bring kids together throughout the day. And we're going to touch a little bit on both. First, remember that you can always call or email our customer support team at 888-316-8242 and press option 2. Or you can email us at support@movingbeyondthepage.zohodesk.com. You're going to reach the Angelas, myself, Angela Backer, or Angela D'Antonio, our West Coast Curriculum Specialist. And we are 2 seasoned homeschool moms. We've both been doing this. I think we're both going on our 7th year. I say that every week. I should probably double check and see if it's the 7th year. And we have a lot of practical knowledge, not just about moving beyond the page, but homeschooling and education in general to share with you. If you have questions about where to level your child, what to buy, if you're having an issue with an activity, if you just need a little moral support, we are more than happy to talk to you on the phone Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 Central Time, or we can get back to you through email. We usually try to answer those within 24 hours. So our entire job is to support you guys and be here for you guys and all of your questions. So don't hesitate to reach out. We really do enjoy visiting with you. After today, we will be halfway through our parent information sessions series. We have already talked about the methodology and structure of moving beyond the page through Introduction to Moving Beyond the Page. We have talked about the very important topic of how to choose a level, which will be instrumental in what we talk about today. So that's an important one to watch. If you haven't watched it already, I'll show you where to find those in just a bit. And A Day in the Life was a really great cross section of several different age levels and what a day looks like utilizing each of those age levels. There is a series in the works in which I'm going to cover every age level, a day in the life, or maybe a week in the life. You guys let me know what you want to see. And I'm going to show you what the activities look like in real time, what finished projects can look like, and so forth. So that will be interesting in the future. Today, we're covering homeschooling with multiple students. Next week, we're going to go into how to utilize our online curriculum, which is going to be an important one to cover because every hard copy purchase now includes an online curriculum access. And then we're going to go over how to use our learning gates, adaptive spelling and math. It's different than most spelling programs you've used, and the math quizzes are a little bit different as well. So we're going to go over how that works, how you get in there, and the best way to utilize that. The end of July, the 21st, we're going to talk about grades and record keeping, where you can find information applicable to you and where you live, as well as a little information from Moving Beyond the Page about grades and record keeping. And then we are going to round it out with how to get organized. We're going to touch on that a little bit today as well, because when you have more than one student that you're trying to educate within the course of a day, being organized is really important. So I'm just going to check in. I see that we've got someone's already answered that question about freshmen. Okay. A week in the life, please. Okay, well then I'm going to take that into consideration because I want to make things that you guys want to see. Okay, and I want to make things that you guys are going to connect with and will be informative to you. So thank you for letting me know that. Okay, so we're going to go on and show you where to find all of these parent information sessions. You go to Facebook at the top of the page. You can find a tab that says live or a tab that says videos. There should be both, and you can click on those tabs and you will find all of these parent information sessions. I'll have edited them down a little bit, taken off the fluff at the end and the beginning so that you can get right to it. You can also find them on our YouTube page via the Parent Information Sessions playlist. And you can also, which is the best place to find it, is our website, movingbeyondthepage.com. There's a link at the top of the page that'll take you right to it, and it'll have them all listed. Usually I have those ready to go by the end of the week, so that way you can find those and watch them as you need them. Okay. All right, so a little overview about homeschooling multiple students. There are just so many things to take into consideration when you are choosing material, when you're homeschooling more than one student. Whether those students are twins and they're the same age and the same ability level, or you have two different age children who are the same ability level, or you have two very different abilities and ages that you're trying to meet the needs of. There are just so many things to consider. One thing to understand, not everybody's package is going to look the same. So what I'm going to be presenting today is a kind of way for you to pick and choose what you need for your kids. Everyone's budget looks different, and not just monetary budget, but space budget. How much space do you have to homeschool in? That makes a difference. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm also going to show packages that just kind of include everything you need to use for multiple students if they're doing the same level. And if they're not doing the same level, it's going to be kind of more general information. There are ways to source things like literature and materials, like utilizing your local library, and you can see where it might be best to try to do that, okay? We're going to start off right at the beginning. I'm not going to go through every single age level, but I'm going to go through clusters of age levels that are structured the same. And it'll give you a good idea of what you need to purchase as those age levels change and kind of morph. So age 4 to 5, say you have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they're both ready to start a kindergarten-like program, like Moving Beyond the Pages, age 4 to 5. I'm moving through this assuming that you've already watched How to Choose a Level. I'm going to move through this assuming that you have chosen what age level works for your child or children, and here we are. So you're ready to go. You know what you need. Okay. Age 4 to 5 includes a parent manual, a student activity book, all of the literature in the full year package, and a manipulatives materials kit. So if you have one child who's going to be doing age 4 to 5, you're going to buy that full year package, okay? Now there are other packages you can purchase at every age level. And you can see here, you can get the full year package with all the hard copy stuff. It just says full year package. You can get the online package. That's all of the curriculum is online. You could get just curriculum and materials or whatever. But if you're purchasing for a second student, this is what you need to get. You need to purchase an age 4 to 5 consumables package for your second student. So for your first child, you're going to buy the whole big package. And then you're going to get this consumables package, which will include a student activity book and a manipulatives kit. At this age level, it's not fun to go through it without your own materials kit. They're not put together to be shared amongst many children. This one in particular, you're going to want your own so your child can do all of those hands-on activities to work through the alphabet and numbers. They need their own. It's very important because at this age level, a lot of the hands-on activities are what is going to solidify that information, okay? So if you've got two kiddos who are going to be working through this program, this age 4 to 5, you need one full year package and one consumables package. But when we get to age 5 to 7 and 6 to 8, which are similarly structured, you're going to need to consider a few different things. So if you have children, two or more children who are going to be working through age 5 to 7, again, you're going to go to shop, you're going to choose the age level that you already know they need to be in, and you're going to choose an age 5 to 7 full year package. All you need for your second student at this point is a consumables package. It has all of the student activity books. So you'll already have a parent manual from your full year package for each concept. So this is going to include all of the student activity books you need. This package doesn't have a materials kit that goes with it. This consumables package doesn't, because you don't necessarily need one. You can share some of the materials in the manipulatives kit. If you want a bit more material, you can buy an extra manipulative package for math. So you can have extra math manipulatives for your second student. That's going to be an important thing. You don't necessarily need a second set of magnets or a second caterpillar game. However, that depends on what your family dynamic is like. And I'll say that a few times throughout the session today. My family dynamic is such that my kids would fuss over who got to play with the magnet first, or who got to use the math manipulatives first, and we'd have to take turns, and it might be a whole thing. If that's your situation, you might want to consider getting a second set of math manipulatives, a second set of magnets, a second, the caterpillar game definitely probably don't need a second one of. All of these manipulatives can be purchased individually. So those are just things that you need to think about as you're building packages for multiple students. And that's age 5 to 7. That's really all you need to consider for that. Age 7 to 9 and up, things get more complicated. So at age 7 to 9, we are no longer going to have our parent manual separate from our student activity pages. Everything is now separated into individual units between language arts, social studies, and science. And your parent overviews and your instructions to give your children are going to be in each spiral bound book. So you're going to have a book, you're each going to have a spiral bound book for each unit, and your information is in there for you to teach your child along with their student activity pages, because it's so divvied up. That's the best way to package it. Of course, a full year package is going to come with all of the curriculum you need, all of the literature that you need, and all of the manipulatives you need for one kiddo. Here's where things get a little interesting though. For a second child, all you have to be able to successfully complete the program with more than one child is a consumables package. These are different than the consumable packages for the younger levels, because we put that parent information in those individual unit books at this age level. So now for a consumable package, what you're going to receive are 3-ring binders with just the student activity pages and reading and question pages for science, social studies, and language arts for your student. But it does include activity books for math at age 7 to 9. You'll notice in this consumables package also there is one manipulative in there, and it's the owl pellet kit. There are a few throughout the different age levels. There will be one manipulative here or there that might get used up, like an owl pellet kit. You'll want to make sure that you get more than one of those. It's not fun for one kid to get to dissect something and the other one doesn't. But if you're not sure about whether your child is going to be okay with a binder full of student activity pages and your other child not having a spiral book that you're kind of sharing with them, there are a couple of different ways you can work around that. For one, I've had many parents buy more than one consumable package, and each of their child has the consumables package, and between age 7 to 9 and 8 to 10, the parent retains the unit books as teacher editions to help teach from, because at these age levels you are still teaching your kids and you're more involved in the education still at age 7 to 9 and 8 to 10. Because everyone's getting complimentary online access, there is always the ability to print activity pages from your complimentary online access. So you may not want to buy a whole consumables package, but if you're anything like me, and you don't have a wonderful working relationship with your printer, which I do not, I would spend every bit of $147 plus to buy this consumables package, so I didn't have to worry about ink and paper. And really, it's not that much cheaper, if cheaper at all. It may be more expensive these days when you buy ink and everything. So those are some things to think about at this age range. Is you're not going to receive individual books for each kid unless you order it that way. We'll talk about that in a minute. Another thing to consider at age 7 to 9 and 8 to 10 are language arts readers. Your children are going to begin reading much more independently with these chapter books. 7 to 9, you may still be reading together, and that's wonderful. But if you've got more than one kid working in the same age level, they may follow along in their own book. We do have packages that are just the readers for language arts. We also just have the readers for science and social studies, but I'll touch on that in a moment. But language arts readers chapter books that take a lot of time to sit and work through the chapters, they may want their own copy of that. So you may want to get a language arts readers package for a second student. You're not going to necessarily want to buy a whole extra manipulative package, but these are the manipulatives that are available for this age level. There are math manipulatives. Again, you may want separate math manipulatives. Counters, abscesses, grids with, dry erase markers. Those are all things that you may not want to share particularly. You can, it just may not be a dynamic that works in your home. But as far as you can see the ear models on here, the butterfly kit, a thermometer, those aren't necessarily things you would want two of unless you are you're insistent that they need more than one, then you could get that, and the owl pellet kit, of course. Again, all of the manipulatives can be purchased individually. So if you see something you want more than one of for a child, go in there and find it and purchase it individually. The reason I don't say buy extra science and social studies books, or even recommend you get these extra science manipulatives, is because science and social studies are easily done together. So you can easily go through the material together. You can easily go through the activities together. And in fact, it's much more fun that way. You're going to want your children to work collaboratively that way and not always be in their separate corners, right? Now, if you are just insistent that your child shouldn't use the binders full of materials, you can purchase a curriculum-only package that will give you all of those spiral-bound curriculum books. I can say that my youngest, who was working through the 8 to 10 level, which is structured the same as this, she got to where she could read the instructions a bit and work more independently. And so if you have a child, maybe not at 7 to 9, but 8 to 10 that wants to work a little bit more independently, or they just fuss because they want their own spiral book. Why does sister get it? I don't, that kind of thing. You can purchase it, but really at age 7 to 9 and 8 to 10, that's not necessary. You can get by definitely and much more economically using the consumables packages or printing from your online access. Oh, also, online access is exactly what is in the hard copy. So you're never going to be missing instructions or anything like that. It's all there for you. So if you want to utilize it for multiple students in that way, that is absolutely possible. Where things get wildly different is 9 to 11, because mom and dad or grandmother or whoever is teaching is no longer going to be instructing every lesson. Age 9 to 11 on through high school is structured in a way that teaches to your student. So they're going to be reading instruction and material that is written directly to them. So what packages you choose in that regard are going to be dependent on that little bit of information. So of course, for one student, you would buy a full year package. And then all you absolutely have to have is a consumables package, which will give you the 3-ring binders for all the science, social studies, and language arts curriculum, okay? So, or the student activity pages. But again, this is not going to include all the instruction. Where that becomes kind of a problem is if all the instruction is written to your child and you only bought a consumable package, your second child isn't going to receive any of those instructions. So we're assuming when you purchase this that your kids are going to be working together all day across all of the subjects. This is where, if you're trying to be really economical, buying a consumables package so that all of their materials are pre-printed and they've got all their extra consumable manipulatives are present. And then they can go read the instructions in your online access if you would like them to, your second child. But otherwise, you're going to want to probably purchase a second set of curriculum only. And that is going to give each child their own spiral bound book with all of the questions and all of the instruction. The parent information is at the back for you to take out and retain for your records and information with all the answer keys and everything. But if you want both of your kids to be working through the hard copy version of everything, you're going to have to buy a second set of spiral bound books. It's just, otherwise your other child's going to be begging for the instructions all day. Also at this age, it's going it's going to be extremely important to get language arts readers. Language arts at this age, they're reading novels, and not just because of difficulty or anything, but kids at this age start doing school at different times of the day. They read better at different times of the day. It's just really something to consider. If you can easily have your kids share literature books, then that's fine, but I know that I would buy a second set for mine. If you buy the second set of curriculum only, you're going to also want to get these individual manipulatives. So you're going to want to look at the consumable package and see what manipulatives are consumable manipulatives, and maybe even a math materials kit. That's always something that I'm going to kind of recommend that you get a second set of if you've got, if you've got two kids working on the same math program, because it's just hard to share when you're trying to do your work and some of these things. So those are the manipulatives and language arts readers. We're not going to recommend that you buy a second set of science and a second set of social studies readers, or even those manipulatives, because as I said before, science and social studies are really best done together. It's more fun that way, and it's more interesting that way, and they can work through their activity pages, and they can do the data together. It doesn't have to be all separate. So homeschooling with multiple students and working together can be done multiple ways, like I said earlier. So you've either got a couple of kids who are definitely going to be working through everything at the same level together, and that's great. But most of us don't have a set of kids that are that close in age. I don't. And so what you may want to do is pick the appropriate levels for them for language arts and math, and just order the language arts and math packages applicable to their placement assessments. And then you can either choose a science in between or one or the other, and a social studies that interests them, and you can work through those together. Say you have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. Well, your 9-year-old really needs to be working in the 7 to 9 language arts and math, but your 11-year-old is going to work through the 9 to 11, but your 7 to 9-year-old could definitely follow along and do science with big brother or sister, right? Well, just buy what they need for language arts and math for each of them. Buy a full package for older kid, and then just buy those consumable packages in science and social studies for your younger kid to follow along. And that way they're getting their work in, they're taking off those boxes, they're doing those activities together. Again, you don't have to buy all of the science kits, which become more apparent in the older levels, 8 to 10, 9 to 11 and up. You get all these science kits, right? You don't have to purchase all that, because there's plenty in there for your kids to do the activities together and not just learn the material, but learn how to work together. Kind of like having a science partner or a lab partner. yeah, coming together for science and social studies is a really good way to get some collaborative learning going. So these are just all little nuggets of information to share with you about homeschooling kids at different age levels, okay, or not different age levels, just working together. One really great way to get your day from being keep your day from being so hectic is doing a lot of the required reading the night before. There is required reading almost every single day. And when you get to the older levels, 7 to 9 and up, they're going to be reading a chapter or two from these books. And I know that my kids did the best when they read it the night before, could kind of sleep on it, review it the next day, and then answer their questions. That's going to cut down on that, just like the hecticness of the day. If you've got kids at different levels, you can read with your younger child better, and your older child can be more independent in their reading, and then you're not spending so much time getting that done the next day. Again, collaborate your science and social studies lessons. Those are the best places to collaborate, because you don't have to have these stellar math and language arts, abilities to be able to, take in the activities, especially all these hands-on activities that we offer in science, and the visual activities of social studies. A lot of that can be just, bring younger student up. Or if you've got an older child who could easily do it just a little bit easier work, then they can pop down and do the little easier science and social studies, or you can do a little bit of both throughout the year. Now, you're not going to get that interconnectedness of the curriculum across all the subjects if you're kind of skipping out on one science or social studies for a higher level or a lower level, but it's still a really good way to get your kids to learn together. Implement family read alouds. So if your kids are all reading the same literature books, or even if they're not, doing read alouds kind of gets the day going. It's going to help kind of keep everybody on task for the reading and things like that. Let your younger students just kind of listen in sometimes on older siblings' work. So you've got this chaotic day going. You've got all these. You're trying to get everybody educated, and you really need to sometimes our older students don't get as much hands-on instruction as our younger kids, because our younger kids really require a lot of our attention. Let younger brother or sister listen in a little bit to what older kiddos doing. My youngest really absorbed a lot over the years, just listening in on her older sister's lessons. And it kind of gave me a break from having to babysit everything she was doing. She could just sit there and color or draw or write, or even I would give her a copy of, one of the pages, and she would just kind of follow along. And that's the same as collaborating the science and social studies, but it's also a good way to kind of keep your sanity. If you have kids using the same age levels, utilize those option 1 and 2 activities to differentiate enough so that everyone's being reached the way they need to be reached. So if you have somebody who is using something, say you've got a precocious 8-year-old and a struggling 11-year-old, and you've decided that you're going to place them both in the 8 to 10 level. They both could use the option 2 activity, which is a little bit higher level activity. Or maybe your precocious 8-year-old isn't quite at the level to do those option 2s for some activities. They can do the standard option 1 activity, and your older kid who may just have a little bit more practice in doing activities like that can do the harder option. So it's going to differentiate it enough to where you guys can bring more of your learning together using the option 1 and 2s without it, being a mess. I don't have enough to cover to stretch my older child's getting bored, or my younger child is too hard. We try to make it where you can fit things together. Okay. Now, we've all seen the Pinterest perfect homeschool photos where everyone is sitting in their designer robes and sipping their coffee, and everything is perfectly organized. And Oh, I saw an interesting comment. I'll get to that in just a minute. You see these beautiful Pinterest photos, right, of everyone having this perfectly organized homeschools. Give yourself a break and understand that it's not what it looks like when you're homeschooling all these kids. You can't possibly have everything perfect all the time. I just want to say I've had 3 kids that I've successfully finished homeschooling. One of them, she's going to college full time in the fall, but my younger kids can attest it's not always been the most Pinterest perfect world that we've lived in, but some good organization tips can really help. Just organizing things for your kids each day, having them help you organize for the week. You utilize baskets for everybody's materials. Uh, Make sure that you've got some sort of schedule so everyone understands what's expected of them each day. Little tips like that, which we'll go into more great detail when we go into Let's Get Organized. But organization and preparation will help you have a really smooth homeschool experience when you have more than one kiddo that you're trying to get educated. And this session hasn't been as info dumpy as some of the others, but there's just a lot of nuance to different kids and families in different situations. It's really, if you ever have questions, please reach out to us and call us, and we are happy to help kind of customize what you need for your family. There's always a family who does, money is no object, and they'll just buy 2 of everything for each kid. And that's fine if you can do that. But most of us can't. And so we're more than happy to show you how to get what you need. And if that means that we need to suggest going to your local library to get books or print and utilize your free online access, to get everything you need for all of your kids, we're happy to explain how all that works to you. So, there's our information again. You want to call and hash it out with us. We're more than happy. I actually had an hour-long phone call today with a mom who needed 2 of everything for an age level, and we talked it out today. And it was it was informative for both of us. Actually, I thought about things that I hadn't even thought about before. So now we'll go to questions. I see I'm planning on using this for 9th grader language arts. Is this a 1-year curriculum? So yes, all of our curriculum is meant for 36 weeks of instruction or 1 school year. So yes, Maria, that is a 1 year of curriculum. Are you looking at, whether you're looking at the age 12 to 14 or you're looking at the high school 1, those are both 1 year of language arts. Are there any other questions? I am happy to answer anything. Kind of a short session today. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let's see. I see. Oh, okay. So I'm looking back at some of the questions, and it looks like Angela had answered it already, but so many of the lit books for age 12 to 14 are on a freshman high school curriculum in other places. To Kill a Mockingbird is a great example of a book that's in the 12 to 14 that I always just associated with high school freshman language arts study. And so a good point to make in all of this is that because this is a rigorous and gifted program, I am actually using the age 12 to 14 for my freshman for next year. She's going to use it as a freshman curriculum, and that's what it is. And so if you've got kids who are kind of mixed age levels, but they're mixed ages, but they're using the same age level, a lot of times, yes, you can use it as an eighth grade curriculum, but really it's more for high school. It's accelerating your younger kid, or it's accelerating your standard kid in a way that is going to be beneficial to them in the future. So yes, you could definitely use that age 12 to 14 as a high school freshman curriculum. And I wanted to read out this comment because it was so, I just appreciated it so much. Laura Krupp said that she wanted to chime in. I've been using your program for 3 years with 3 kids, 2 that are gifted and 1 with severe learning disabilities. I've tried every program under the sun, and yours is by far our favorite for everyone. And I just wanted to say how much I appreciate kind words like that. Everyone loves to hear a good, kind of a happy ending education wise. Usually most of us kind of go through quite a few. And I don't know how much Laura collaborates her learning between, her kids, but it's a favorite of our families as well, not just because I'm here giving presentations, but it was something that really resonated with all of my kids. And we could from time to time and have some collaborative learning with different types of kinesthetic activities, physiospatial activities, because they do differentiate the curriculum so much that it's so usable for different kids that it's just really a good way to it's a good way to get learning going for the whole family without having to pick and choose different curricula for different kids. Yes, Maria, there is a high school 1 language arts. And in that high school 1 language arts, which is the only high school we have at this moment. I know there are some other levels in the pipeline that I have absolutely no info about when that will be finished or come out. And the high school 1 covers some Shakespeare, nonfiction texts, things like that. Edgar Allan Poe is a fun one that was in there. And it's also kind of screams high school freshman English as well. But high school 1 can definitely be used for either 9th or 10th grade. Are there any questions about homeschooling multiple students, or any information that you would like me to go over quickly, or not quickly, just go over in general? Well, I won't keep everybody. We'll wrap this up. Again, you're more than welcome to leave comments. This video will archive and post to our Facebook page automatically in just a few minutes. It does a little Facebook magic first. And then it will post. You can continue to ask questions and make comments on the video, and I will be going through and answering them as I can. Homeschooling multiple students is one of those, subjects that it's kind of broad, but it can get very specific. And I didn't want to info dump on you for each age level for a full hour. It just is so much to take in, and there's so much to say, but also not a lot to say. So I hope this was helpful. definitely, like I said, drop us a line with any further questions you have, or give us a call. We're more than happy to help you work through getting what you need. Okay. So thank you guys, and we'll see you next week for online curriculum, which will be a lot of walking through screenshots, videos, lots of how to get that going. Okay. So you guys take care, and thanks for showing up this week. I appreciate it.